So again, I'm Nikki Stahr, and I'm going to go into more about, you secured the spot, you sent your pitch, you secured a spot, maybe it's a new TV station, maybe it's a radio station, but kind of what do you do now? So the camera's rolling on this. So basically you want to start your media checklist, and you have one in your references today. So you want to get that out, you kind of want to start that. First of all, you send that confirmation. I think even though you sent your pitch with most of your information, you're going to want to send a confirmation. Because the one thing about the confirmation letter, what it will do, whether it's an email, a lot of times they want it easy as possible. They want you to build the segment for them. And so any information that you put on here is usually what's going to be aired or what they're going to say. And so you want to make it your segment, your interview. So you put those key messages, your opening statement, your closing statement, your Chiron message, everything into your confirmation. And then other things to include, and I'll pass this around, but other things to include in there are the date and the time of the interview, of course, because you want to remind them, hey, I'm coming in, a week from Tuesday at this time. Time that you will arrive for setup. This is one of the things you want to check. Every station, every media outlet's different. You want to check their time frame. When do you need the information by? Is it 5 days? Is it 7 days? Usually it's 5 to 7 days prior to your interview. You're going to want to get them the information. Do they want attachments or do they want it embedded? Those are just preferences, and you can use the checklist, not the media checklist, but I do have a profile. You can fill out profile sheets on them so you can remember, but you get to know them over time. And then you also want to ask them, how much time do you have for prep? What can you get there an hour before? Is it 20 minutes? Some have said, come 15 minutes before, and you're like panicking because it's like, I got all this stuff to set up. But it's their preference. They don't want you in the studio. Some will let you be in the studio while other things are going on. So just ask, can I come 45 minutes to an hour to set up? I need to get my things set up in time. So make sure that you tell them what time you will be there, and then get there, at that time. And then any recipes or demos that you'll bring. So if you're going to be featuring a recipe, if you're going to get them engaged in something, if you're going to have things that you're going to use as props, just kind of remind them that, hey, I'll be showcasing these 3 items. The copy of the recipe to place on their website, that would be a bonus. If we can get a link onto their website too, so you might just want to reference that. And then down here below is an example of the Chiron message that you're going to send. So that could be placed up on the screen at the end of the segment, or reference in some of those 4 key tips that you have, bullet them. And then what they'll do is they'll run them through on screen. So make sure that you include that in your confirmation and what you want them to put up there. Your contact information, of course, and then I talked a little bit about the intro and the closing statement. So again, you're building your interview based off of this. They're going to pull this down, they're going to write it right into their script, and believe me, if you make it as easy as possible for them, they will love you and they'll ask you back. Because they want it to be easy. Here's my checklist for today. I don't know if you can read this, but hey, make a to-do list. Check off the first thing. Realize you've already accomplished 2 things on the list, and go celebrate. So those are kind of those fun things that you gotta do. Yeah. Other things I want to talk about too is just the 3 P's basically. So you want to plan. Again, start your list, your grocery list, your list of supplies, any props that you'll need. Write your media map. Write out everything. I take a sheet of paper. I'll just take a plain sheet of paper and I'll literally draw like where my plates are going to be, what's my setup going to be, and I will put that in front of me. I'll lay everything out, and then I always end up switching it because I might not want to talk about this first. I might want to move on to that. So lay everything out, draw a map on it, write your key messages, your opening statement, everything on your media map, and so that way you can work through it and you can change it to what's right for you. You want it to be personable and approachable, and you want your personality to show. I know Aaron talked about this, but always be familiar with where you're going. Whether it's a radio interview or TV, you might not be, let's say, Aaron travels throughout the state, maybe you have to go to a different, town for some reason, a different market, and you're not familiar with their news channels. You can go online now and see, what their setup's gonna be. Because the worst thing is that you think you're going to have a big table or a kitchen, and they put you in a room with 2 chairs and a small table. So, you want to make sure that you know where you're going to be, what the set is, who the personalities are, who's going to be interviewing you. And watch other interviews too. Because some reporters like to kind of throw a sword in there and say, hey, we're going to switch things up. We're not going to talk about that today. Let's talk about this. And so you want to know if they're kind of edgy like that, or if they're just kind of like, you make my life easier, you run the segment. And make a visit to the station if you can. Hey, can I come while you're live, or can I watch a program? Make a visit so you get familiar with the people, the production crew. If you can't make a visit, just ask questions. Again, how long the segment's going to be, where's my setup, are we going to be in chairs, do you have tablecloths, just those things so you can prep and have everything that you need to, and you feel comfortable going in there so you're not nervous about that. The prep though, again, purchase supplies, props and tools, anything that you would have put in like a little toolbox ahead of time, have those ready to go. Read through your messages and scripts, again, get familiar with it. If it doesn't feel comfortable, change it up. But read through them, don't memorize them. I used to, when I first started, I thought I had to memorize everything. And I'm going to go on TV and I'm going to say exactly how, I wrote it down. And I get so flustered on TV because it wouldn't come out that way. And then I just kind of learned to relax, and if I get my message out, if I get, you say 3 messages, but if I get one really key message someone takes away, that's better than nothing. And so you just, you learn to kind of relax that way and go with what's in your mind versus what's on paper. Then I always talked about drawing up a set on paper. So then practice. That's the best thing to do. Do a recipe trial. If it's a new recipe you're not familiar with, it's the wrong time to do it when you go on TV. One thing I did learn is the refrigerated pizza dough or refrigerated dough does explode on when it gets under the lights. So take empty containers if you can. Any kind of props that you have, make sure they're kind of, because the lights heat up everything. And so it was way back when it was on Channel 8 with Marcus, and I remember I was making some kind of a pizza, and so I had a refrigerated pizza dough pan sitting there, and we're making it, and Marcus is putting all his toppings on it, and I wish I had the video to show. But all of a sudden, and we're talking about March Madness, right? The slam dunks and all that stuff. All of a sudden, we hear just pop, and people come running into the studio, and they thought maybe the mirror fell down or something fell down from the ceiling because it was so loud. And I duck and cover. Marcus is just going. He's just like, and so it was just one of those things that you didn't prepare. I didn't think that it would warm up that much and explode. But we kept going, and I said, oh, I should have made a rebound or something like that. I don't know. But we kept going in the segment, and everybody that watched that day were like, what was that? Oh my gosh, I just saw something shoot across the screen. But they said, you just kept going. So, those things are going to happen. You just got to kind of work with it. But as much as possible, just kind of, know those things. And I also like to rehearse in a mirror. One of the worst things is after you're done, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit, is reviewing your tapes and watching yourself. I hate watching myself because I nitpick everything. I'm like, why did I do that and not that? But watch yourself in a mirror. Watch your facial expressions. And it will get you familiar with smiling with your eyes. You may think you're smiling, but a lot of times when you talk, you're not. But you feel like you are. So get to know that and really practice in front of a mirror. So how is my hair, Miss Ann? I just want to point out how we talked about matching the color of your set and everything. So what to do with your appearance when you get on TV. Even sometimes on radio too. You want to go in with a logoed shirt or something like that. So we talk about, keep clothes simple. Everybody here has very simple colors on. One thing is we do see one pattern. Patterns are busy on air. You see a lot of the national, I'm going to point out a picture that we have, but you see a lot of nationals, they do wear a lot of patterns and things like that. I think it's just too busy. So you want to make it pop. So she's featuring cherries here. She has some red on the set. She looks really nice. Everything matches. And I just think it's a nice way, nice solid color. It depends on the type of interview, but most of the time it's pretty relaxed. If you're going in for a sit down, I don't know what type, more one-on-one kind of interview, sit down, let's get real instead of a kitchen set. You might want to put a business suit on, but other than that, keep it really relaxed, keep yourself approachable. Blues, blacks, reds are great. No white. Always learn that no white because it plays with the camera. And so, again, national spokespeople, they wear white. The media, they like to be edgy like that. But sometimes an apron with a logo on it. So if we get some aprons with our logo on it, that's a great way to, do some advertising about who you are and without needing to, talk about spread the message. Less is more when it comes to jewelry. So I'm guilty of this sometimes. I will wear big jewelry, but it does hit the microphone, and you may not realize it. And so during your interview, all you hear is, is what your necklace is doing and not really what you're saying. And plus, it kind of distracts from everything. So I need to get better at that on TV. I know that's one of my things. But hair pulled back is really nice, especially too when you're doing with food. You don't want someone to try something on air and there's a big hair in it. That's the last thing you want to happen when you're on air. Or look out with hairspray. And I'm going to show some tips here at the end. And also makeup. Invest in some good makeup. They always say to wear more than what you're used to, but don't paint on stripes or anything like that. But wear more than And that's one of the things too to ask them, because they're the professionals and they know this stuff in and out. So ask them right before before you go on. Hey, what does it look like in the camera? Am I washed out, or is it too much? Because you want to look good and they want you to look good. So it doesn't hurt just to ask. Because they might say you have a big blob of something here, but usually they have mirrors back there too, so you can check yourself real quick. But wear more makeup than what you're used to. I know it's going to feel funny, but foundation. Another thing is wax. Wax your eyebrows. Make them real clean and cut. And, it just looks so much sharper on air. Kind of, do what they're doing.
Real unibrows.
Exactly. So again, be part of your set. Here's a couple of examples I want to showcase. We talk about keeping it simple, keeping it colorful. So the placemats and napkins, anything on the table, it's great to have patterns. It's great to have color, but any plates and glasses you want to keep very simple. So plates, white, solid colors. Things are going to make the food pop. So if you have red items, maybe like a blue plate, it's going to make that color pop, like a light blue. So another thing is use real silverware as a prop. It's something you might not think. I'm just going to grab some. I got plastic silver in there, and I'm going to, but always use real silverware, even if it's like a picnic set or something like that. It just looks so much sharper. Obviously not in the napkin roll. Again, white plates are really great, but I had an anchor one time tell me that she hates white plates, Miss Paula. She's like, I hate white plates, don't bring them. So again, those are questions that you can ask them what their preferences are.
And the lighting gets
just
all
like the
whacked
white
out.
shirt.
Yeah. So, but if you have a lot of color on your plate, a lot of times you see in the photography, it's so no place settings. Keep white to very minimal, dishes and whatnot. And you also see that she's matching her color. She's very simple, and she's wearing an apron that advertises. So it's a great way to get your message across. I like the signs, because if you can't get to that point, the point's already there for you. So you can see that the dairy tips and whatnot. Any kind of props. Obviously, if you're doing like the hearts and the Valentine's, is this in February? Yeah. So you can kind of tell any kind of props. Here's with kids. Again, they're wearing hats and aprons, and I knew this was way back when in Des Moines when they actually wore suits, and so I matched up and kind of wore a suit as well, suit jacket. But working with kids and animals in the media can be challenging. Always get them to practice with you. If you are going to take a kid on set it up ahead of time. Hey, can we get together and practice? And so they will. They love it. They can practice what they're going to do. You can have them do exactly what they're going to do on set. So otherwise, they will kind of freak out, and they, and not real sure what they're going to do. But the kids I've worked with in the past have been really great. But again, colorful, placemats, kind of matching the set. Clear glasses so they can actually see the liquid in there. So get to know your interviewer. I think it's very important. Again, before the interview, watch and listen to their show. Email them questions. If you have questions, if they have an allergy. I found out one time I took something on, and the person had an allergy, so he couldn't try. And so on air, we're gonna try it, and he's like, oh, there's mushrooms in here. I can't try it. I can't eat it. And those are just things you don't want to happen on air. So ask if they have allergies, and so you can just leave that item out. Yeah, exactly. but him just saying that too might turn some people off, saying, yeah. So you always want it to be, and also, they really enjoy that because you get to know them, and you're there for them too. You're there to make them look good. So they like that, that about them, and that you were courteous enough to do that. Or it might be a favorite food that they have, and so that way they will eat it on air. And you always want them to have that action and enjoy it and talk about what you're doing. And then also post on social media. And we're going to go into some social media here. You know what? Hey, if it's just your personal social media, Facebook, Twitter, talk about when you're going to be on, and so people can tune in and watch you. So while you're in the studio setting up, introduce yourself to the interviewer. They usually always come by and say, hey, that's a great time to really look them in the eye and get them through your set. I always walk them through the flow of the interview. Hey, we're going to start here, we're going to go here, and then how about some action? Do you like to get involved? If they do, or do you like to eat? Some do not want to eat on air. So, you don't want to ask that on air and then be like, no, that's okay. So you want to ask that ahead of time so you just know that they're not going to eat anything. But some, will devour it, and they really enjoy tasting everything. So you know how to walk them through. And that's a really good time to kind of push out those key messages again, that opening statement, and talk to them about that. Because sometimes they will talk about what you're going to talk about, and they like to know more than you. So if you can feed them some information and make them look really good, they're going to appreciate that. And then also, one time I asked someone to whisk something, and they didn't know how to whisk. So, and so always make sure that you say, I'm gonna have, if you'd like to get in the action, I'm gonna have you whisk this up or pour this in, or be involved in that way. So, just so that they know and they're prepared, and they don't want to look silly on there. That's the last thing you want. And then take a picture of your set. And then post that right before you're going to be on. Hey, I'm on in 3 minutes. Here's a picture of my set. Tune in and watch. Get to know your production crew too, because they're the ones behind the camera. They're the ones that you can watch. You can look through. Hey, what's the opening statement? So get to know them, and you can always ask, what's the opening statement? How's she going to introduce me, or how are they going to introduce me? So that we know that if you're there to talk about heart health, but they're there to talk about summer entertaining, you know that, oh my gosh, I got to switch things up. So, and so you know how you're going to be introduced, and that you guys are on the same track. You don't want a totally different topic to show up when you already have your set there, and so you can kind of reframe your brain. And then also, what will be on screen graphics. Sometimes they have the 4 tips, and they'll actually put those 4 tips, and you want to know what order they're going to be in, so you can follow the lead of the camera. Because you're not seeing what the anchor's seeing or the interviewer's seeing. So you want to make sure that you're in tune with what they're going to show as graphics. And then, what side will the interviewer stand on? So if they prefer, like if you're standing here, if they prefer this side or that side, so you can always clip your mic on the side that they're on, so they can hear. Then after the interview, ask for a picture, because we want to celebrate what you guys are doing, and so always ask for a picture if they have time. A lot of times they'll stay there and they'll kind of talk to you and say, hey, before everybody devours your set, get a picture with who you're interviewing with your set, and then get some feedback too. Hey, how was that? Did you enjoy that? Did you like doing? Just kind of ask them feedback, because they'll be like, that was great. I really enjoyed this, but maybe next time, we'll wrap it up a little bit quicker. So you'll get some really good feedback from them, because they are the experts, on their own show. And then also send a thank you note, for taking the time.
With chocolate.
With chocolate. So, and that's another thing is feed the bears. You always say don't feed the bears, feed the bears. Make sure you take a little bit extra. Take stuff, not just stuff that you prepped yesterday and it's only safe, or it's not safe to consume. But take some stuff that they can actually eat, because, I was also told one time in studio that they'll never have this. It was a bread company. They'll never have them back because they didn't leave a thing. They came in all morning and they baked all morning long, so the studio smelled like fresh bread, and it was really great. And they couldn't wait to try it, and they took everything with them. And they're like, we will not have them back. I know it's the little things, but they like food, and they like good food. So it's they really appreciate that, because you know, and also they'll take your recipes, they'll talk about it next time, and so it really excites them. And so, you know, always make sure that you have enough left over. And if you do have something on set that sometimes you have to prep things that you can't put in the refrigerator because it'll get all slimy or whatever, and you have to leave it out. I've had to do that. I had to prep it ahead of time and leave it on the counter so it looks, you know, presentable on air. Just tell them this is not edible. You know, I mean, obviously before the interview, because you don't want them to grab it and then you're like, ugh. You know, just say, I had to make this ahead of time for my prop. This is not edible, but I do have some in the cooler that we can try, or we can try this over here. So make sure that you kind of they know that, because you don't know what's going to happen, and you know, certainly don't want to foodborne illness there going, and they'll never have you back. So visuals, again, we talked about, you know, making things colorful sets, solid colors, glasses are clear. The only thing is, you know, like, you don't want printed plates. Again, that distracts, that takes away from the food or whatever you're going to put on there. I always like, again, to tell a story. Anybody tell, you know, what do you think that's about with that picture? Happy hour? I don't know the little paint palette.
I saw the drink and the clock.
At 3? That sounds great.
Yeah, that's true. But
5 o'clock somewhere.
Anybody else have any ideas? After school snacks, right? So kind of paint a picture with your props. You know, use some props. Like I use the clock and I use the books. It's kind of hard to tell in this picture, but you know, use a notebook, use a backpack, use you know, if it's about sports, you know, put some sports gear on there. You know, so tell that story with your props. Making things really colorful with your food and presentable.
What's on the colorful plate?
Turtles.
No,
This one?
over
Oh,
there.
this?
No,
Over there to
with the clock.
The orangish.
Oh, this here is pita. It's like
Broccoli
pita
and
wedges,
carrots
and then broccoli, carrots, and a dip.
But then the white plate that has the blue and the pink.
Like what? Yeah. What
Yeah,
is
that's
it?
just different yogurts.
Oh.
As like a paint palette, and it has little dippers.
Okay.
So it's just a fun way, you know, to get kids to dip their it's like graham crackers. So I know it's so little, it's hard to tell.
You were saying about not
I
eating
can't see what
props.
that was. Yeah,
My
those
husband
sticks.
and I did some food photography, and we actually shellacked.
Yeah.
And my son came in, I just had it sitting on the counter, and he ate it, he just took this big bite, and I'm like, number 1, that's my shellac cake. He goes, Mom, this is so gross, what did you do to it? He ate it.
my gosh,
Oh,
that's
Yeah.
funny.
yeah,
Yeah, that will happen. We used to make ice cream out of, you know, you make the fake ice cream.
yeah.
And the crew started eating. It was just, what was it, Crisco or something like that? Yeah, it wasn't melting, but they wanted to eat it off my set. I'm like,
That's a
no!
good idea.
Yeah, it worked.
Can you use Crisco for ice cream?
Yeah, I think I have a fake recipe or fake ice cream recipe
And then
somewhere.
can you?
It's like yeah, it's
That's
like
hilarious.
You can do-
Crisco,
you
and
can
it's
do like
actually
the
when you scoop
paste.
it out, it looks like it looks so real. It's so amazing. I'll have
Just
to look for that
vanilla?
recipe.
Because it's got that nice shine to it,
Mhm.
yeah.
Again, going over what Erin had talked about, you know, your 5 C's for messaging. Be clear, concise, connecting. You want to connect with the audience. You want to connect with the reporter, the interviewer. So always talk to them, always look at them. And you want to be continual. So, you know, just remembering those things will help you be invited back and get your message across. The 3 tips, you know, for looking like a pro, again, look at the interview and not the camera. I can tell you, I've seen interviews where they've never been in studio before, and the anchor's introducing them, and they're standing there looking at the camera. They're doing this, and they look at them, and they look back at the camera. It's like you think you know there's an audience out there, but it is so awkward because cameras switch and everything else, and so always always talk to them, but you're talking to look at them, but you're talking to the audience. You're talking to a friend that's, you know, out there in TV land or in radio land. Stand really close too. There's nothing worse than a big gap. So you want to feel uncomfortable. You want to get really close in there and stand close. Like here, I mean, this is a little bit too much separation. This is really, really close. You know, smile and have a conversation. You know, you want to make sure you get those smiles in there. Sometimes you have to remind yourself, but you want to be real and credible. I was going to talk a little bit about her outfit, because who she is, maybe. If that works, it'll actually probably get some more guys watching. But, you know, keep things less low cut, unpatterned. I did learn too that turtlenecks, you know, they're okay, But if you're really comfortable, I guess, with your neck and not, it's just one thing to kind of avoid is the turtlenecks. Also, sleeveless too, because again, everything on camera doesn't look real chiseled a lot of the times.
That's
so
a nice way to say it.
you want to kind of avoid that. I've made that mistake before where I wore like not really like sleeveless, but so I always wear at least short sleeves. I mean, short sleeves are nice, but and so you just kind of want to be mindful of some of those things. So for radio and phone, one of the best tips that I've ever learned was, even if it's a phone interview or it's a radio, try to stand up. You always want to stand up because your voice projects. One of the radio interviews used to freak me out because you don't have any visuals. Like, I love visuals. I like talking with my hands. You have something that will keep their interest. In Radio Land, it's your voice. And so I always pictured it like I'm talking about nutrition, boring, stuff, how to be healthy, and the people out there going switch, 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 because how do you sound exciting? How do you, especially when there's a radio host, because that's what they do. They're exciting and they keep people listening. So magician is their job to do that. And you can be fun, but just don't try to outwit them. I mean, they will try to suck you in and get you into all the jokes and things like that. They're doing one station in I think it was in Davenport. It was kind of a, I wouldn't say hard rock station, but we talked about, it was June Dairy Month, and we talked about cheese, and of course they went the whole cutting the cheese, and then they're like shaking up the milkshakes and the chocolate milk, and so it was one of those things that you just kind of had to bite your tongue and have a little fun, joke around a little bit with it, but yeah, you don't want to get sucked into that, because sometimes you think it's going to be interesting and it just turns out flopping, because that's what they do. That's who they are. And also too, have your notes in front of you, but don't like read off your notes. Talk to the person in the studio that's interviewing you on the radio. And this picture's kind of hard to see, but this was at here in Des Moines. I think it's K-Hawk. And so I'm standing, and I wore a logoed shirt. So again, I know it's radio, no one's really going to see you, but again, you kind of want to be mindful of your appearance anytime you're going in, because you're going to take pictures and do this thing. But I'm talking to the person on the other side of the desk, instead of just looking at my paper and reading what's on my paper. Also during phone interviews, when they're taping it, you can tape up your notes, so they're at eye level. So you're always projecting, you're always standing. And I don't know if I'll be able to play this or not, but it has a very nice voice.
Right. This is registered dietitian nutritionist Melissa Dobbins. A healthy diet can mean a healthier you, so eat a variety of proteins each week: seafood, lean meat, poultry, beans, and nuts. Fill half your plate with fruits and vegetables at every meal. Choose foods that are lower in calories, fat, and sodium. Limit your alcohol and maintain a healthy weight. Let a registered dietitian nutritionist help you achieve your goals. Find one near you at eatright.org.
So I just think she has a nice, pleasant voice. She uses a good tone. She's a registered dietitian with Illinois, also a national spokesperson, and one of my good friends. So check it out. She has sound bites. A company called Sound Bites, and so she has some really great interview examples. I guess it's not going to let me. Oh, okay. Now, anybody have any questions at this point? Another thing that I wanted to talk about too, and so what do you guys recall from that? What was kind of my opening statement?
You establish credibility with saying, I'm a mom.
And a dietitian.
I'm a
And a
dietitian.
dietitian.
So again, some of those key tips on getting, your credibility, getting personable, being relatable, out there. Again, my audience was noon, so like we talked about, is retired or stay-at-home parents, or those that are staying at home. A lot of moms are watching at that time. So again, I established that connection. So here's just a few tips. Hairspray, okay? So one thing to do, I don't know if you guys know this, but spray your hand, rub it, and then get all those flyaways, and just kind of rub it through your hair. So you got, you'll get those little flyaways like I probably have now. The cameras will really pronounce, they will really stand out. And then ask the interviewer or the cameraman, hey, what does that look like? Do I have any? And they'll kind of help you. So I always take my hairspray. Okay, this is gonna be a fun one. Even guys can do this, but liners are really great putting on your armpits. If you're a sweater, okay, so put it in your shirt, put it on your armpits, and it'll keep your shirt dry. So that I always carry those. And then the prop. So I know Ann likes to use the bagels. You can use door stops, folded up paper towels, things like that. Prop your plates up. I know it looks odd here, but when the camera's looking at it, it looks really great. So use little mini bagels, carry those with you, and do a little toolbox. I like to have a toolbox and then put everything in there: scissors, tape, extra knives, silverware, paper towels, wet wipes. You know, in case you do kind of have a spill or something like that, you have to clean it up. And so that way, I always have that with me. A lint roller, because sometimes you do have those specks that show up when you're in those lights. Mic is always on. Always pretend like the mic is on, and then turn your cell phones off. Even on vibrate, sometimes they can make some noises. Not just but they'll ring or something, and you just don't want that to happen. So that concludes it for me. Yay! Do you guys have any questions or anything? Hopefully, you kind of picked up on a few little tips and ideas.